Welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Real glad that you could return for another segment. In this segment, we're going to be speaking with Younes. He's joining us here from AstraZeneca to talk about building a broad portfolio to target different hematological cancers through diverse mechanisms and modalities. Welcome to Health Professional Radio. Younes, thank you for joining us this morning.
Pleasure to be here, Neil.
Well, if you would, let us in on a bit of your professional background and your role at AstraZeneca.
Yeah, I'm a medical oncologist by training. I treated patients with different types of blood cancers for 25 years at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas, and at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York. I'm also a clinical investigator. I led multiple clinical trials spanning from phase 1, first in man, all the way to registrational trials leading to drug approval. I'm also a scientist. I had a funded lab for more than 25 years focusing on translational aspects of blood cancers and mechanism of resistance and combination strategies. I joined AstraZeneca about 2.5 years ago to lead a new Haematology R&D unit focusing on developing novel treatments for patients with all types of blood cancers.
Now, it's my understanding that AstraZeneca is advancing in the blood cancer treatment paradigm. What is your vision for how blood cancers will be treated in the future, and especially under your leadership there at AstraZeneca?
Yeah, so it's very well known that there is a tremendous unmet medical need for patients with blood cancers. There are some types that can be cured and others still unfortunately non-curable. And the science has evolved over the last 10 to 20 years tremendously that allow us now to use new tools to diagnose and treat patients with different types of blood cancer that didn't exist before. So our strategy really is to translate the current science into innovative treatment modalities, taking advantage of very innovative discovery platforms that exist within AstraZeneca, but also tap into science outside AstraZeneca to develop more than one drug at the same time for the same indication, meaning that the plan is really to build future regimens, not one drug at a time for each indication.
Can you talk about some of the most exciting new emerging modalities or maybe some combination treatments and how they might reshape the hematological disease setting?
Yes, of course. So you need to keep in mind that many innovative treatments that now are widely used across multiple types of cancers, especially in solid tumors, really started in the blood cancer space. The innovation really started there. So targeted therapy, immune therapy, monoclonal antibodies, CAR T cells, antibody-drug conjugates, epigenetic modifiers, and so forth. So traditionally, hematology has been like the innovation box for oncology. And we'll continue to be so, I think, in the future. But we have pre-existing, as I said, modalities that I just mentioned, antibodies, antibody-drug conjugates, CAR T cells, bispecific antibodies, that are frequently can be combined or sequenced in the same patient for the same disease. That's what we're really excited about, mainly the immune therapy that emerging lately that take advantage of activating the patient's own immune cells to eradicate the cancer cells with minimal side effects that can also be combined.
Are there different emerging treatments for several types of conditions, hematological conditions, or are most of them geared toward one specific type of disease?
No, so the platform can be applied across different disease types, sort of like a plug-and-play, just change the target. So, for example, you can have an antibody targeting CD20 for B-cell malignancies, and the same antibody, you can change the binding site to bind a different protein called BCMA, then that targets multiple myeloma, or target CD33, which then treats patients with acute myelogenous leukemia. So the platform is the same. The binding site or the target can vary between different disease types. And that's not only unique for naked antibodies, also same principle for bispecific antibodies, antibody-drug conjugates, and CAR T cells and so forth. The small molecule inhibitors that target more intrinsic internal mechanisms frequently are more unique for disease type. They usually cannot be transferred across the multiple disease types.
Are there new diseases emerging in this hematological space?
I hope not. We already have about 160 different subtypes of hematologic malignancies. We have plenty of those. So no, I mean, I think every 3 years or so when the WHO classification is printed, there are usually one or two subtype of a subtype that is now given a different identity, but those are not frequent.
What do you think healthcare providers should know about the next generation of blood cancer treatments as they advance in the clinic? What should they be on the lookout for?
I think they should understand the modalities and how they work, and then how to manage the side effects. And frequently, some of these innovative modalities start in major cancer centers or hospital centers that takes some time before it can be adapted to the community settings. And I think the faster the treating physicians learn about these modalities and the side effects and to handle them, the faster these treatments can be then transferred to the communities so patients do not have to travel to different cities and different hospitals to get treatment.
Do you think that general practitioners, healthcare providers in general, can keep up with the advances so that they can better refer to specialists faster?
I think they can. Again, the field is rapidly changing, but as I mentioned, it's all about the platform. You don't need to know about every specific antibody for every specific disease. All you need to know about how antibody works, how bispecific antibody works, because then they share same class effects in terms of safety, whether you target multiple myeloma or AML or non-Hodgkin lymphoma. I think that's what matters most.
Is there anything that you'd like to add for our listeners?
I think the plea here is really to encourage physicians and treating oncologists to continue to refer patients for clinical trials. Participation in clinical trials is the way to change the current standard of care. And the faster we enroll patients on innovative clinical trials, the faster we can change the current standard of care. Additionally, not just we're trying to build future regimens, we're also trying to improve the cure rate of multiple types of cancers by intervening early in the course of the disease, what we call early intervention, and also introducing what we call early interception, meaning that at the earliest sign of relapse, at the DNA level, at the molecular level, in the MRD level, when patients' blood converts from MRD negative to MRD positive, we will be introducing new treatment modalities for these early interception strategies. I think by doing that, in addition to the traditional drug development pathway for patients with active disease, we believe that we will improve the cure rate for patients with blood cancer, but we may also start exploring curing currently incurable types of blood cancers.
Younes, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for lending us some of your time here on Health Professional Radio this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard, in conversation with Younes. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download it, Anchor, Spotify, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com, Health Professional Radio.